OMG, what is going on in our society? Where has America come to? We truly have a country to save, man. Never in my life would I have thought that I'd have seen a video of multiple thieves going into a church, during church service in the middle of a Sunday to rob the pastor and his wife, and there's speculations that they robbed some of the churchgoers. Let alone that they robbed over $400,000 in jewels. And that's a whole nother conversation. I guess it's one of those Joel Osteen, Creflo Dollar, TD Jake mega church pastors that run around here all flashy. But I'm for real. I'm serious. Where have we come to? Because the last video that I seen of a pastor being robbed during church service and kidnapped was in Haiti. The video that went around of the Haitian pastor, they got robbed and his whole congregation kidnapped right during church service during a live stream. Well, it's happening here in America. This is where our society has come to. No regard, no respect for God, and literally no respect for God's house, the church. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, man. I'm going to play the video, then I'm going to give you my opinion and my commentary because this is sad. Not only is it sad that people that are going to church aren't safe, they're now being robbed at daylight. They're also being gunned down, and churches need security just like schools need security. And it happened in New York, which is another argument why citizens need to be able to carry firearms so that they can protect themselves, even when they go to get the word from the Lord. But it's another thing when the pastor is flashy and also has a background. So I'm going to get into all that. Let me roll the film, and I'll be right back.
How many of you have lost your faith because you saw somebody else die what you about to go through? Yo. All right. Yo, all right.
And there you have it. Haiti happening in New York City. Never thought that I would see a pastor being robbed in broad daylight. But there's some questions that were raised. Well, what pastor and his wife have over $400,000 in jewels? And why would they be a target? That's because this is not no ordinary pastor. This guy is controversial. He's an ally to Mayor Adams. That's right. You heard it. We know that the corruption and the liberal shithole policies of New York City. There's so many things that I have to question and ask just in this one incident, but I want to go into it. So just going down, basically three thieves went into a church. They barged into a Brooklyn church on Sunday with the controversial Bishop Lamor Whitehead, which is an ally to Mayor Adams. He was preaching, and they snatched over $400,000 worth of jewelry off of him and his wife. Whitehead, the Rolls-Royce driving bishop, who recently tried to broker a deal for the surrender of a man accused of a subway murder to the mayor. That's what I wanted to go into. His church is called Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministry, and it's on Remsen Avenue, near Avenue D, whatever that, if you're in New York, you probably have an idea. But I think a while back in March, he tried to broker a deal with Mayor Adams, with the guy that murdered a guy in the subway, the Q subway, whatever the case may be. But he tried to negotiate the guy to surrender to Mayor Adams, and apparently he was upset on the whole thing, on how it went down, because they ended up ambushing the guy to arrest the criminal to get him off the street. And they tried to say, well, he had mental illness and whatnot. So this Bishop Lamor was trying to negotiate with Mayor Adams and had several conversations with him to try to get this guy to turn himself in. But the thing about it is, Lamor is not your average guy. As you can see with the picture behind me, this is a Rolls Royce. He showed up to the spot, the negotiation spot for the guy to turn himself in that murdered a guy in the train station, the Q line, and he tried to negotiate it, but it didn't go down the way that he wanted. But he shows up in a $350,000 Rolls Royce, and this is the criminal that he was trying to help that played, oh, I'm crazy, but he took a man's life. But I was reading more, and I kept going, and I came across this here, which made me want to do a little bit more research on this pastor that got robbed. Whitehead, which is Bishop Lamor Whitehead has made headlines before for his close ties to Mayor Adams. Whitehead himself has a criminal record for identity fraud and grand larceny. He has also been accused of pushing bogus youth mentoring programs. Adams nevertheless stood by Whitehead when asked about him in 2016. Well, let's dig a little bit deeper. I pulled up a Daily Mail article. It's not going to show the whole thing, but I'm going to read them off. Lamor Miller Whitehead is the founder of the Leaders of the Tomorrow International Church in Brooklyn. He was once locked up for 5 years at Sing Sing for multiple counts of identity fraud and grand larceny. In 2006, he stole the identities of multiple people in Long Island and in Brooklyn in a $2 million scam. Things are starting to, the dots are connecting now. The bishop, who was ordained in 2016, registered his ministry as a for-profit business in 2014, a year after being released. Now, before I go any further, because I know you guys can't see the full screen, I'm reading it to you. So I guess he ended up serving 5 years for this identity, stealing the identities of multiple people in Long Island and Brooklyn. It was a $2 million scam. Apparently, he went and served his 5 years in Sing Sing, and I'm sure that the $2 million or more, something is unaccounted for. So he decided, you know what? While I'm doing my time, I'm going to find the Lord, and I'm going to start doing the Lord's work and preaching hope in the gospel to the people. You know, they say there's going to be false prophets. And I'm not trying to indict this man as a false prophet, but there's some shady stuff going on with this guy right here. So apparently he must have decided he found God and he wanted to be a pastor, and that might be a good way, this is just my speculation, for him to launder that money that was unaccounted for through that scamming and him stealing those people's identity. So he did that by registering his ministry not as a nonprofit, but for-profit business in 2014, a year after being released. He also claimed to have founded youth mentor programs that have been rebuffed by New York Police Department and the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. We all know that the District Attorney Office, all of them are corrupt. They're letting criminals right back on the street, but that's another conversation. We'll digress. Whitehead, talking about the bishop that got robbed, who has reportedly been seen in Maseratis and in Bentleys, also allegedly owes $250,000 in loans. That sounds like some fraud to me. It almost sounds like another Black Lives Matter grifter, except he's doing it in the church. Now, you know, I believe that somebody can change their life and find the Lord. I obviously changed my life. I've always had a relationship with God, right? I'm not trying to indict this man and put false claims or anything. This is just my opinion, but it does look a little shady. It looks a lot of shady. How are you riding around in Maseratis and Bentleys and Rolls Royces and you owe $250,000 in loans? That sounds like fraud to me. There's plenty of people that's going down for it. The pastor showed up in a $350,000 Rolls Royce to negotiate the surrender of Andrew Adula, which was the guy that killed somebody in the subway. The guy that killed someone in the subway was accused of shooting Daniel Enriquez on a platform of a Q train in the Canal Street station. So, I mean, to me, things aren't adding up when it comes to this guy. It makes a whole lot more sense to me now that why he would be considered a target to criminals. It does. It makes a whole lot more sense to me now. But it's like, it's a twofold situation. It's unfortunate that people that go to his church to listen to the word that he apparently is preaching, to me, it sounds like he's scamming. You know what I mean? But hey, and that maybe I'm in the wrong business. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I should be a scammer, but apparently these pastors is making a whole lot of money. And he don't hide the fact that he loves flashy things. There's even videos of him trying to explain the situation of what took place and how he wanted to get in front of the news and what people will be saying, the speculators, that what they'll be saying about the situation of him being robbed. But to me, it just sounds like corruption. It sounds like there's some scamming going on around with this guy. And partially, you know, I'm sad that there's no respect in our society to where people will rob a church, because there's innocent people that went to his church. And for them to have to experience being held at gunpoint while they rob the scammer preacher that they have on the pulpit of all his jury, of the things that he's flashy about. And I'm sure their life, they not living like he is. They not living. I could tell you right now, I did 6 years day for day. I don't know anybody can come a year later, come home and already has a for-profit church and is rolling like that and showing up with Maseratis, Bentleys, and Rolls Royces. I think that his first scheming paid off and he figured out a way how he can launder that money. But I'll digress on that. But anyway, I don't want to make it long. I thought that this was an interesting situation. Look this up. The videos are going viral about him getting robbed at gunpoint. I don't know. Put it in the comments what your thoughts are. If this is your first time on the channel, thank you for stopping by. Make sure you subscribe. And yeah, like I said, put it in the comments what your thoughts are. Is he a ordained man of faith? Do you think that he is preaching the word and saving souls? Or do you think that this is just another cover-up for him to launder the money that he was scheming before he apparently got his life together? I don't know. I think he's a crook. You know, they talk about a lot of false prophets in the last days. Maybe. I don't know. Put it in the comments, man. Y'all know what it is. It's your boy, Craig Long 45. I'm out. Peace.
Yeah, oi.